You guys want a grape? I have a big bag over here. You want one? All right, here you go. Catch. There you go. Good job. Good job. Somebody, oh wow, somebody caught it right in their mouth. Great job. All right. Today's video. This might not seem like an important one, ladies and gentlemen. This might seem like one of the most, like, who cares, right? We're talking about Very Good, and let me tell you something. Very Good is integral to this story. I mean, he isn't, but for the purposes of this video, this guy is the main character, all right? So we're going to have to make it work. First of all, hands raised, anybody that actually remembers who Very Good is and where he shows up in the story. Hands up. It's okay if you don't have to raise your hand. It's all right. You'd be like, yeah, Teching, I know Very Good. He was from Marineford, right? No, he wasn't. Okay, well, it's fine. It's all right if you didn't. That's what today's video is all about, all right? So Very Good was one of the captains that was part of the Buster Call at Ennie's lobby, all right? Some other captains of this group were Shu, who has the power of the Rust fruit, destroyed Zoro's Yubashiri. I already made a video about him. Sharinguru, who has the power of the Wheel fruit. Unique example of a devil fruit that was shown in the manga, but never in the anime, considering how much the anime expands on stuff, and even in these scenes, they expanded on them in the than in the manga. It's weird that they cut, you know, that devil fruit. It's weird. But he will actually be up next. We're going to talk about the wheel fruit after this, okay? But there were some other captains there. There was Glove, whose devil fruit was that he doesn't have a devil fruit and he just has boxing gloves. So he tried his best there. But yes, we have Very Good with the power of the Berry no Mi. Let's go through how funny and ironic this is when we actually break down the name of this devil fruit, okay? Because I don't think Oda intended there to be all these layers to this fruit, and a lot of them come about when you translate it from Japanese into English, all right? But let's break it down, okay? So the Japanese name of this fruit is the Berry no Mi, all right? Okay. First of all, the currency of the One Piece world is the berry. So already there's a little bit of confusion. There's a little bit of a comparison there. Berry no Mi, berry, or belly, you know, berry. So does he turn into money? In which case, this would be Nami's dream fruit, okay? In fact, I could kind of see, like, Nami hearing about this after the fact. Imagine Frankie defeats this guy, goes up to Nami after, and they're kind of, like, meeting up after the battle, and after everything is settled, and Nami is like, oh, yeah, Frankie, who did you fight against? Oh, yeah, it was crazy. I fought against this dude that had the berry no Mi. Nami's eyes immediately light up. You know, just like the berry symbol, just, you fought somebody that has a devil fruit that turns you into money? Like, that exists? I didn't know that exists. Nami never cares about having a devil fruit. She's never expressed any interest in having a devil fruit up until that point. But once she learns about the berry no Mi, that's when she's like, wait a second. I want that. I could turn into money? That's great. So that's already the first thing there. Also, when you translate this into English, berry no Mi, berries as in fruits, as in like blueberries or raspberries or blackberries. What's your favorite kind of berry? When I was a little kid, me and my grandfather, there was a little blueberry bush out behind his house. He kind of lived on a little farm, and I remember as a little kid, we would always go out there and see if there was any blueberries growing on the bush, and we'd pick them and bring them back and wash them off and have blueberries together. Yeah, I miss my grandpa. But yeah, that's like a nice little childhood memory I have. Anyway, what's your favorite kind of berry? Point is, berries are fruits. So the name of this fruit in English is the berry fruit, which is effectively redundancy. All right? It's like two fruits and then fruit. So that's funny in its own right. But wait, it doesn't stop there, okay? So, you know how, like, whenever you eat a devil fruit, you're told that you're a specific type of human, okay? Like, you know, back when we thought Luffy's devil fruit was the Gamu no Mi, the idea is when you eat the Gamu no Mi, you become a rubber human, okay? That's the idea. So when you eat the berry no Mi, do you become a berry human? No, you become a grape human, hence why the grapes are here. Budo is the word that is used here, okay? Budo meaning Japanese for grape. By the way, since we're on the subject of this, if you've ever been curious, so like berry no Mi, So Berry Berry is the name of the devil fruit ability. Like you're, turning into berries, little balls that, orbit around your opponent. It's very similar to Buggy's fruit, and we'll get into that. The no that appears in Berry Berry no Mi is a possessive particle, most similar to the English word of. And then mi, as you would imagine, it's the kanji for fruit in Japanese, okay? So the best translation with all the devil fruits would be like the fruit of Berry Berry, or the fruit of Gumu Gumu, or the fruit of Chop Chop, is the idea of how they're actually like laid out, like what the naming scheme means. So there's that. And then, I mean, this is something more just for my channel, but the fact that we have Barry over here. Barry always has the Berry Berry no Mi, and trust me, his Berry Berry no Mi way stronger than Very Good's Berry Berry no Mi, okay? I feel like I've said Barry so many times in this video, it has lost all meaning, and we're not even 10 minutes into this yet. Oh, man. I need another grape. All right. So what does this fruit do? All right. Well, it seems to have two primary functions. Primary function number one, makes you effectively immune to bludgeoning damage, all right? So, yeah, Luffy kind of already had this with the Gumu Gumu no Mi, but this one takes it to a whole nother level, okay? So, the way that this was introduced is that Frankie is fighting against the Marines at Enies Lobby. Very Good shows up. Frankie's like, okay, I'm just going to punch him really hard. I'm going to give him a strong right. So that's what Frankie does. He goes to give him a strong right. He punches Very Good kind of right in like the side, right in the kidney kind of area. And the impact of the punch doesn't damage Very Good. Instead, it just splits his body up into a bunch of different orbs that start, bouncing around and floating around Frankie. Not bouncing. They can actually float in midair. So it's very, very similar to Buggy's Chop Chop fruit. Instead of just individual body parts zipping around, his body is forced into the shape of orbs or grapes, I guess, okay? So, like, in the case with Buggy, when Buggy splits up his hand is still his hand. He can still articulate it with his fingers. He can pick up weapons, and he can, like, stab people with it. Like, that's how Buggy uses the Bara Bara no Mi. So when Very Good, one of the original translations, because it sounds very similar in Japanese, Very Goodo. So it's a lot of times people think his name is Berry Good, but I think there was a data book where it was shown his name is Very Good. It's just the B sound and the V sound are very similar in Japanese there, okay? When Very Good transforms, though, his entire body, like his fist, we see his fist change into an orb. So he might not be able to actually pick anything up with his fingers anymore while they're in the state of an orb. Later on, we even see what happens to his feet and his shoes. They literally just turn into this. They're like little balls. Like if he was wearing black shoes, they're just little black orbs that have like the sole of the shoe on it. So that's kind of what his feet become, all right? So not as effective as I would say with the Bara Bara no Mi, whereas the Bara Bara gives you immunity to slashing damage. Like if somebody slashes him, it splits him apart. The Berry Berry is the same thing with bludgeoning. Whenever he deals enough damage, he just splits apart that way. But it's not as not as useful, I guess. It's not as multifaceted as Buggy's fruit is, okay? Now, you could say, just add some Haki onto that punch, and you're breaking through. Well, then we have the whole problem with, like, Mihawk using Haki against Buggy at Marineford. Was he using Haki? And Buggy was still able to separate. The idea is, like, maybe it wouldn't be good enough. Because, remember, the idea is, like, Buggy is not absorbing the slashing damage. His body is splitting apart. The same thing is happening with Very Good here, okay? So who knows? Maybe even if Frankie did have armament Haki back then, and then, armament hardening, strong right, and he goes to punch Very Good, maybe as soon as the punch comes in contact, it doesn't absorb the hit. It just kind of like rides with the damage, and his body is separated into a bunch of different orbs, and the damage is just nullified that way. It's very possible, okay? Because, we had that whole discussion with Buggy, and kind of the same thing exists here for Very Good, all right? So that's the first functionality. If you're fighting against somebody that loves to punch things or kick things or not use any slashing, piercing, or fire or elemental damage or anything like that, you'll be really good with this Devil Fruit. Second thing is that when your body is floating around in the grape form, in the orbs all bouncing around and everything like that, you can control each individual orb just like they are your body, because they are. And this is where in the anime things are added to it. Because in the manga, you want to know how much Very Good shows up at this scene? There's 2 panels. 2 panels. Panel number 1, Frankie punches him. Panel number 2, he splits apart. And that's kind of it. That's kind of it. All right, the anime adds a whole extra scene where Very Good is sending his orbs to attack Frankie and, like, pin him down. So Frankie has to, like, block the orbs hitting him from, like, all directions. They don't really seem to be doing him a lot of damage, but they are pinning him down. And then Zoro shows up to help him. And the way that Frankie ultimately defeats Very Good is that he grabs his head and then loads it into his cannon arm, and then weapons left, fires him into the side of a battleship, and that defeats Very Good. So I guess the idea is like, okay, he's all floating around, all you gotta do is find his head, which is a pretty obvious thing to see, grab his head, and then just throw it, and he's completely defenseless, okay? I'm also assuming, like with the Barabara no Mi, there's a set range, like that little area that Buggy can manipulate his body. Although there is one thing I say the Berry no Mi has an advantage on the Barabara. Buggy's feet need to stay on the ground in order for the rest of his body to float, and that doesn't seem to be the case with Very Good. He seems to just, when he turns into the orbs, I'm sure there's a set range that he can float around. However, there's no need to keep a body part on the ground. You know, he could just, like, float around in a bunch of different orbs. We don't know how many orbs he can make. I mean, how many are here? Let's play a counting game here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23. I'm getting 23 orbs in this image right here. Let me know. I don't know. Wait, did I count his head? I can't remember if I counted his head. It's either 23 or 24, but I might be, you know, I might have messed up on that. So let me know how many orbs are in this picture right here. All right, that'll be a fun engagement kind of thing we can do. All right, so Frankie was able to defeat him pretty easily, but that was in the anime. That was in the anime. Maybe not in the manga. Maybe he's way tougher in the manga. So let's take a look at some of the manga material. Does Very Good show up at any other point after Eni's lobby? Yes, he does. He shows up during Cypher Pull 9's independent report, okay? So Cypher Pull 9, after Lucci is recovered from his coma, they fight against the Candy Pirates, they commandeer their ship, and they sail off to the location where they trained when they were children, their homeland, or the closest thing they have to a homeland, basically. All of the Cypher Pull 9 agents are mainly orphans. Some of them aren't, like Khalifa and Kumadori were born into, like, assassin families, but most of them were orphans that were taken there at a young age to be trained to be assassins, okay? So they go back there. Well, they're also renegade agents at this point, so the Marines are like, we need to bring them in. And the Marines, in their infinite wisdom, knew exactly who to send to bring in every single top-ranking assassin of Cypher Pull 9. We're going up against Rob Lucci, strongest assassin. He's got the mastery of the 6 powers. He's got the Roku Ogon. He's got the Leopard Zone. Then we have Kaku and Jabra. Then we have Kumadori with Life Return. We got Khalifa, daughter of Lashki. Then we also have Fukuro, who's an owl person that has a zipper, and he can use the Doroki ability to measure power levels. Blue and O with the magical teleporting doors. We have all these top-ranking members of CP9. Very good. I want you to take a battalion of Marines and bring them all in. Now, many people would say that a mission like that, to bring back all of Cypher Pull 9 that have gone rogue, should only be given to, like, top-ranked officers in the Marines. We're talking vice admirals. Maybe even an admiral might be warranted for that, all right? To bring back all of them. You might say that, but they decided to give this task to Very Good. And he accepted. He was like, absolutely. In the name of the Marines and in the name of justice, I'll do it. Very quickly. In the English dub, whenever they have Frankie fighting Very Good, he uses berry, like, as a pun. He's like, that's the power of the berry fruit. It's berry deadly. And I'm like, that's perfect. That's perfect. You nailed his character. That didn't exist in the Japanese dub. Maybe the pun couldn't work. I don't care. That works. So, it didn't go well. It did not go well. All right, in case you're curious, you know, they storm the island. He's like, let's bring them in, and they proceed to get the shit kicked out of them. Oh my God, it was a massacre. Okay, but hey, he tried. He tried. All right, you know, it seems like he wasn't like, oh, I don't know about this. I don't know if I'm just a captain. I don't know if I can bring it. That's Rob Lucci over there. I don't know if I could fight him. It's like, you think you're not enough for it? We could send Shu. It's like, no, let's not send Shu. I'll do it. I'll take care of it, man. All right, so yeah, he gets beaten pretty handily by Cypher Pole. He doesn't die. He doesn't die. They don't kill him. Instead, what they do is they kind of just beat him up unconscious. And the last shot of the Cypher Pole 9 independent report actually has Very Good in it, as they commandeer the marine vessel that Very Good came on. The Cypher Pole 9 sail off into the sunset on new horizons. And on the shore of the island of their homeland, you see the flower that Khalifa planted, that she was given a flower by a girl in a town that they saved earlier from the Candy Pirates. So you see the flower there, and you also see Very Good's body parts scattered all over the cliff face, and he's unconscious, and he's like there, and you see his orbs, and right next to the flower is the orb that represents justice, because when he turns into an orb, like he has the justice cloak on his back, as all high-ranking Marines do, well, when he turns into an orb, the justice symbol also becomes an orb. You know, just like his fists are turned into a round shape and everything turns round, you know, that the same thing happens there. So it's a nice little, like, symbolism moment there of, like, the freedom of Cypher Pole 9 sailing away from the Marines, as we see the flower there growing on the cliff next to an orb that represents the justice of the Marines. That's a really powerful scene, and I really like that. We don't know what happened exactly right after during the time skip, but something occurred and they ended up as members of Cypher Pole 0. I still would like to know a little bit more. I think Otis talked about it slightly in the SBS, but I would like to know the exact process of how they went from, we're going to go off on our own way and you can't stop us, to now taking orders from all the Celestial Dragons, right? There's a story there. We've talked about that before, but this is not a video about Cypher Pole 9. This is a video about Very Good. So let's talk about the awakening of this son of a bitch. All right, so you turn the entire surrounding town into berries. Okay, you'd be able to unlock the true potential of the bricks. Oh my God. Do you understand what this means? Do you understand what this means? Do you understand? If Very Good awakened his power, he could go over to a brick building and then turn the bricks into berries. We need to see that in the story. You know what, Oda? Bring Very Good back. We haven't seen him since. He might have died, actually, now that I'm thinking about it. He's not confirmed to have died, but he could have died. Cypher Pole 9 does not mess around, you know what I mean? So, like, maybe he is just, maybe this is his corpse right here. You know, he's just dead, or he died right after this, you know what I mean? Okay, so bring him back, have him awakened. Have all of the captains from Eni's lobby awakened, because I don't think we've seen any of them. I don't think we've seen Shu or Sharinguru or Glove since Eni's lobby, really, though, that little group of characters. So they're definitely going to be higher ranked now. I mean, Smoker went from captain to commodore to vice admiral pretty quickly, so you could at least have, I mean, like, Hino was a captain, she's a rear admiral now. At least make Very Good a rear admiral. I think he deserves that, okay? And then he touches the buildings, and they all turn into just, it's just a tidal wave of orbs that he could just send flying at an opponent. They obscure your vision, and they could just hit you like they're like getting smacked in the face by a bunch of bowling balls, you know what I mean? Like, the damage didn't seem to be that extreme to Frankie, but remember, Frankie is a cyborg. He's built of, like, sterner stuff, so they might actually have the hit of, like, a bowling ball. Dude, if you add Haki to those orbs, boom, 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 and it's just like you have, like, not infinite supply, but you have, like, a good 20, 30, 40 of these things that you can fire off. And if Very Good improves on the size of the orbs that he can create, then you could basically make a gun, right? Like, he could just be like, get ready for my berry gun, you know, and he pulls out this, like, his hand, and his hand just turns into berries, or maybe his fingers turn into berries one at a time, and he's just firing them off like a pellet gun or something. But they're really, really, I mean, like, he can, like, kind of change the diameter of the bullets to whatever they want, from, like, the size of a BB to a pellet gun to a bowling ball to, like, a giant, like, you know, it's time for the giant bullet. Boom! You know, fires off Bullet Bill or something from the center of his chest if he can control the velocity of these things and get them really strong, and then add Haki onto that and use observation along the way. Very Good's ability can actually be cracked. It could be very cracked. You know, I did talk about a video one time where Blackbeard, like, what devil fruits would Blackbeard like to collect on his crew, right? And the Rust fruit was on there for, like, obvious reasons. It basically allows you to instantly defeat any swordsman if you just touch their blade. Destroyed Yubashiri, which was a real Wazumono like that. It didn't even take any time. It was just grabbed and then destroyed, right? So I think Blackbeard would want the Rust fruit, but maybe he should get the Berry no Mi too. I think he should collect both of them. I think they're both very, very useful. Somebody on Blackbeard's crew has the Berry no Mi, and they could do some crazy stuff with that, okay? Like, we always see Berry Good separating his whole body at once, but could he just use his arm or something? Like, could he just use, like, part of his body to turn into orbs? Like, he could, like, separate his body into orbs and use it like a whip, like a snake kind of whip thing to, like, throw at the enemy or something like that. Like I said, it doesn't seem like he can use his hand to, like, grab things, but I don't know. Like, he could turn it into orbs and, like, you know, wrap it around somebody and, like, drag him in. It's like, get over here, and drag him in, and then turn his fist into... You ever see Mare? Yeah, when Ginta used Babo in the hammer form, it's just like a big sphere on his fist, and then that's what Berry Good could do, and he could just, like, start beating the crap out of an enemy. One hand is a whip, one arm is a whip, the other one is a hammer, just like, time to get... Berry punched. Bam, bam, bam. It just proceeds to beat the crap out of you. Yeah, you could do stuff with this fruit. There is options here, okay? And then, like, now the awakening. Berries. It's like that scene in Naruto where Gaara uses the sand tsunami. You know, Berry Good is going... I'm just calling him Berry Good now. Berry Good is going up against Kimimaro from Naruto, right? And Berry Good is just like, ha, 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 you're pretty strong. And Kimimaro is like... This is the last time I'll get caught in your berries. Berry tsunami! Ah! Now, when Kimimaro goes into his second form, Curse Seal, Berry Good's fucked. You know, he's dead at that point. But he's like, Berry tsunami! Yes! Yes! Do this, Oda, please! I want to see Berry Good back again. Damn it, you could do stuff with this. Oh, man. Okay. Yeah. Dude, he could... Oh, dude, you could make some that, like, send them out. Like, not even the whip. Like, you could have the whip. But if he increases his range, send them out at an enemy and just have, like, 10 of the orbs just floating around the enemy at all times. Like, in orbit. Okay? And then whenever they move, like, one of them punches them right in the face. Or another one, oh, gut shot. Or another one, oh, in the back, you know? And it's just like that you can't stop them. And every time you try to reach them, the orbit, like, it out a little bit, and then back in, and then out, and then, like, oh, dude, if you had very fine motor control of each one of these orbs, like very delicate control on where the orbs are going at all times, as your brain is like the command center, and you have an increased range, send the head, like, way high up so the enemy can't reach you, so you just look down on the battlefield, and then have the orbs do most of the work. Because unless, you know, like, as long as you don't grab the head like Frankie did and blast it into the side of a ship. Now, Very Good was kind of an idiot there. Just keep the head out of it. Don't send the head in to damage the enemy. Have the head outside of the range of attack. Frankie could not fly. I mean, he has projectiles, but he can't fly. So just keep him out there. And also, when you're in the shape, when your head is there just floating around, that's like a harder target to hit. There's potential here. I could keep going on, but I'm gonna end it right here because I think we've talked about the Berry no Mi enough for today. But, like, man, there's potential. There's potential. Now wait until we get to the wheel fruit tomorrow. That's also gonna be crazy. But before we get to that, we gotta talk about trees. And unfortunately, grapes do not grow on trees. They grow on vines. Maybe they grow on trees. I don't know. I'm not a botanist. I don't know if you guys know anything about this, but I don't know a lot about trees, okay? Today, letter Q, I looked up a list, and there's not very many, as you would imagine, but I did see one. It's not pronounced this way, but I originally thought it was the Quincy tree. It's Quince, and I immediately thought, Quincy tree from Bleach? And I'm like, okay, it's probably not pronounced that way. It's pronounced Quins. You know, like kind of like rhymes with like Prince a little bit there. And that's how it's called. But I'm just going to call it the Quincy tree. All right. So it's in the rose family. It's also closely related to apples and pears, like the fruits that it produces. Mostly grows in Southwest Asia and Eastern Europe, Turkey, Iran, that type of area of the world. It requires a lot of watering, but it can't handle soil that is, too waterlogged. You got to keep a nice balance there. But if you maintain that, it's perfectly fine. The fruit that it produces is extraordinarily tart. And very astringent when you first get it, so eating it raw is not really that preferred. However, if you cook it, it turns very soft and sweet as you're like preparing it, okay? For this reason, it can be used in a variety of different foods. It can be paired with lamb or pork. It can even, like the tartness of it can even be added to certain desserts depending on what you're making. It's been cultivated for over 4,000 years in this region of the world, and it represents love, fertility, and prosperity. So that's the Quincy tree, or the Quins tree. Yeah, all right. So what's next? LMOPQR. Okay, all right. I think there's probably going to be more options for the letter R than the letter Q. Oh, man, what are we going to do when we get to the letter X? Is there an X-ray tree? Xylophone tree? X-stop-a-lot-of kettle tree? I don't know. We'll have to find out when we get there. All right, thanks for watching, everybody. This will be TechEg signing out.